If I ever meet Christopher Nolan, I'm just going to give him like a humongous man hug with all good intentions, of course, because the man can make a movie. I'm telling you now, go see Inception. It is so good. The best movie of the year. 4 out of 4 stars. If I had a higher rating, it would get it. Inception meets all expectations, exceeds expectations. Everything about this movie is amazing. This is a very inspirational movie, but like I said, this is no fun entertainment film. You know what I mean? I mean, this is a film that is just, it'll stick with you, and it shows a lot about what a human can do if he's pushed to the ends of his life. So James Franco, excellent. Daniel Boyle, great direction. It is one of the best films of 2010. I didn't get a chance to see it till now. I'm going to give 127 Hours 4 out of 4 stars. It's an excellent film, but not very good replay value, simply because I never want to watch it again. Use of real images in this film and not using, you know, stupid special effects to get scared. They used real things, you know, just they did a really good job with that. The score for this film is so creepy and so loud and intense and well done. I'm gonna give Insidious 4 out of 4 stars, my highest rating. I can't believe I'm saying that because, you know, it just looked like an average shocker movie, but no, this film is made so well and I was so impressed. The reason I cared about what was happening was because I cared about the people who were involved with these situations, and that is how you make a good movie. Win-Win is one of the best movies I've seen so far this year, and I'm gonna give it 4 out of 4 stars. Definitely, if it comes to your theater, check it out. As the film draws to a close, it's just so touching. I loved it. Actually, my favorite movie of the year so far. I flipped out over this movie. I really hope you all love it as much as I did. I'm going to give it 4 out of 4 stars. In my opinion, this is the best Marvel movie ever made. The great balance of characters with action with a terrific villain. There is not another grade I could give this movie other than an A+. I love listening to movie scores, but the ones that really propel the story along are the best ones. I thought about this movie for an entire day, and I cannot find one thing I didn't like about this movie. I adored Moonrise Kingdom, and that's why Moonrise Kingdom gets an A+. It's the most emotionally resonant comic book film I've ever seen. I've never seen a comic book movie that has made me feel this way inside, so invested in what's going to happen, so on the edge of my seat. And without spoiling anything, the way the film concludes was perfect. It was so satisfying. I loved it. It was an excellent way to conclude this trilogy, and it's one of the best trilogies we have now. Of course, The Dark Knight Rises gets an A+. Fantastic film. I have no idea when this film is going to be released. It will be next year more than likely, but when you get a chance to see it, do not miss it. It's definitely something to remember. I'm going to give The Place Beyond the Pines an A+. It's funny, it's heartfelt, you really get into these characters and the story, and that's what's most important, is when you really care about the people portrayed in this film. And like I said, I actually forgot at times I was watching a movie. That's why Silver Linings Playbook gets an A+. For sure, it's a contender, possibly even for Best Movie of the Year so far. I have to really think about it. Go see Skyfall, please. Of course, Skyfall gets an A+. Everything about this movie was exactly what I needed. It is finally the film that I have been waiting for this summer, where I can legitimately say The World's End gets an A+, where I actually feel invested to the point where I care about the people on the screen. And Don John for sure does that. It has a lot to say about relationships, about romance, and it's just a really entertaining movie at the same time. I'm going to give Don John an A+, where everything continues to improve upon the last scene, and it just keeps getting better and better, and I could not take my eyes off of these characters. I adored Prisoners. It has what I think is a perfect conclusion. It's one of the best dramas I've seen in years. This film absolutely deserves an A+. Everything made sense, and the way it was all put together was just great. It's one of the best TV dramas I've ever seen personally. Probably the best, actually. I'm going to give this final episode, as well as the entire show of Breaking Bad, an A+. It's so clever and so funny and so well written. This is one of the funniest movies I've seen all year. It has some of the best performances I've seen all year. It's a movie that from start to finish I was never once bored with. I don't want to spoil anything about the movie. I told you the basic plot, and that's all you're getting out of me. This is an A+ movie. That's good entertainment. All in all, True Detective is one of the best television shows I've seen, and I've only seen one season. I'm looking forward to seeing what season 2 brings with Vince Vaughn and Colin Farrell and Rachel McAdams. That's going to be interesting, but I am excited to see where it goes, and I'm going to give season 1 of True Detective an A+. A movie that I will never,
ever forget how I felt sitting in that theater. A movie that I can truly say is a masterpiece. Birdman is the first movie in 2014 that I'm giving an A+. Whiplash is an incredible film. If you're a fan of music, check it out. If you are a fan of art and you have a hard time expressing your love of art, see it. If you are a fan of great acting, definitely check this movie out. Whiplash is one of the best films of the year, and it gets an A+. It's probably the best action film I've seen so far this decade. I'd have to think about that, but I'm pretty sure it is. And it's by far the best movie I've seen so far this year. Guys, if you don't see this movie, I will be disappointed in you. Do not make this 2015's Edge of Tomorrow. Go see Mad Max Fury Road as soon as you can. Mad Max Fury Road gets an A+. I suppose he could have been more compelling, but for what this movie needed him to be, which was basically the object of Deadpool's revenge, he worked great. Guys, this movie blew me away. I honestly cannot believe that I'm about to say this. Deadpool gets an A+. This series, the Captain America series, each one has built upon the last, gotten better and better, and this film is my favorite comic book movie I've seen since The Dark Knight. I'm going to give Captain America Civil War an A+. Similar to Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, there's also a slight fantastical vibe towards the final reel. I couldn't get enough of it. Good characters, good dialogue, good story, great direction. The Nice Guys is probably the best film I've seen so far this year, and I'm gonna give it an A+. Everyone in this film shines. Everything in this film shines. It's easily one of the best films of the year, and I'm going to stop talking about it because I don't want to give away anything. I think you all should go see Moonlight. I think it's amazing, and Moonlight absolutely deserves an A+. This is a beautifully animated film that serves as a heartfelt reminder that even though Miyazaki has supposedly retired, we still have great directors like Mamoru Hosoda and Makoto Shinkai making great anime films. I'm going to give Your Name an A+. It's incredibly difficult, and it is a frustrating movie, and as I said, it's complex. But these are all feelings that I imagine one would go through when dealing with an extreme crisis of faith. And so I think that is actually a perfect reaction to be having when you watch a film like Silence. And for that reason, I'm going to give Silence an A+. If they do make more, I'll watch it, but I think this story ended amazingly. If they made a film, that might be cool, but I really don't think they need to go anywhere else with this story. I'm going to give Erased an A+. I don't really want to get into aspects of the plot. I'm just going to talk entirely about the filmmaking in this review because I didn't watch a single trailer for this movie. And I'm really glad I didn't because I knew nothing. And going in blind, it was a beautiful experience. I'm going to give War for the Planet of the Apes an A+. You should go to the biggest screen with the loudest speakers and experience this film fresh, just like I did. It's worth it. Trust me. This is the type of movie that reminds people why movies exist and how they can transport us to another world. And I loved every single frame. I'm going to give Blade Runner 2049 an A+. It's short. It's like 93 minutes, but it's quite an enjoyable watch. And in retrospect, I have not one single flaw or anything about this film that I thought was out of place. It's a mesmerizing debut. Greta Gerwig should be really pleased. I'm going to give Lady Bird an A+. As I said, there's fart jokes in this movie. The movie doesn't feel like it's above anyone. It's just really well crafted. So well crafted that sometimes you don't even notice. This is easily the best film that I've seen so far in 2019, and it's a movie that I would like to rewatch many times. And it's also a movie that I'm going to give an A+. This is easily one of the best films of the year, and it's the type of movie that comes along that really pumps me up about movies, and it makes me want to write, it makes me want to direct. When I see movies like this, I understand that this person who made this movie loves the art form so much that he just can't do anything else, and you can feel it coming off of every frame. It's one of my favorite movies of the year, and I'm going to give Parasite an A+. Honestly, Marriage Story is one of my favorite pure character-based films I've seen in years. I think it's extremely well written. I think it's beautifully acted,
and I think it's one of the best movies of the year. I'm going to give Marriage Story an A+. I wanted them to be happy. I really, really cared about these people. This is a gorgeous movie, a film that comes along rarely in a filmmaker's career. I will go as far as to say it's a masterpiece. I'm going to give Portrait of a Lady on Fire an A+, and they do a great job at telling this story in a way that makes you emotionally invested but also riveted. This is one of the best sports documentaries I've ever seen. I'm going to give The Last Dance an A+.